There are many fates for a franchise. Either the developers and publishers mess it up, sometimes other developers just make better games and people switch, and sometimes it's both. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games were the skating games till the Skate franchise came and took that spot, something that the Tony Hawk games never really recovered from. But with this game, they hit rock bottom. As a kid, I tried to love the Pro Skater games, but they felt so constrictive. Nowadays I love them though. You were only allowed to play the levels for 2 minutes with the exception of Pro Skater 4 and had to do some silly missions like getting all the gaps, I wish I would be getting gapped right now, or collecting letters. I wanted more than just that. I wanted big levels you could explore, and when Underground released, I finally got what I wanted. Underground 1 was already kinda going towards the extreme MTV route, but Underground 2 took it even further, having crazy missions and so many stars from Jackass, and at times it barely felt like a realistic skating game anymore. Then after American Wasteland, people had their fill of the craziness, and with Project 8 and Proving Ground, the series went back to a more grounded style. But in the same year as Proving Ground, the first skate game came out and showed people, hey, we got the way cooler new skating game with innovative controls and all that fancy stuff. If you want true realistic skating games, come to us instead of that arcadey feel of Tony. Suddenly, the Tony Hawk games didn't feel like the Mario Kart of skating games anymore. It felt more like some kind of wannabe Cartoon Network fun racer that really wants to be better than Mario Kart, that makes you think, why play that game when you can just play the superior game? So, the years go by and there really wasn't a real Tony Hawk game till Pro Skater HD, which was a remake of some of the classic levels but with worse controls, and then, finally, a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, a completely classic experience. Are we living in the best timeline again? Oh, it's made by the same people who kinda messed up Pro Skater HD? Well, I bet they have learned since then, right? No, they did not. But I have to say one thing. People who maybe have played this game will now see my footage of the game and think, wait, I don't remember it looking that bad. Yeah, I played the PlayStation 3 version of it. And by god, there were many later PlayStation 3 games that ran like absolute dog shit, but this one actually gave me a headache with its performance. After I turned off my PlayStation 3, after experiencing this game, I just sat there with my head wanting to explode. But first things first. You cannot create your own skater. Yep, you gotta pick one of these guys, and it made me think, who the fuck is King? Apparently it's King Graham from the King's Quest franchise, which I have never played since I'm not too much of a fan of point and click adventures, but yeah, even if it's an Activision franchise nowadays since they own Sierra, why pick this guy? I don't think the audience for Tony Hawk games really know this guy. While you can't create your own character though, you can unlock different outfit parts for the skaters in the game, and it makes no sense. Why do I have to put a bucket onto Tony's head and turn him into a black woman and can't just create my own skater? There's some other parts you can unlock by doing missions. You can turn your character into Sackboy or Ratchet, but yeah, this system is just kinda weird. The Xbox version got the Cuphead characters, and in the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, there's even Little Wayne and Tyler the Creator. Sadly not in the PlayStation 3 version. Kinda sad. Same with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I don't like those anyways. You know, back in the day we had Spider-Man, Shrek, and now we have this, kinda. The flow of the game is like the classic games, but without the 2-minute time limit, just like in Pro Skater 4. No getting off your board, no drive missions, just classic Tony Hawk. You can get all the skate letters, you can collect the combo letters with a combo, collect the DVD and videotape, and then every stage also has something for you to either destroy or collect. But then you also got the missions. Do enough of those and you unlock the next level. Too bad that those missions are monotone as hell. You ever have those moments in life where you just sit on your chair and do absolutely nothing, just spacing out and looking into the distance, zero thoughts in your mind till you snap back to reality? That's how monotone those missions feel like. Get the high score, go through all the rings, get enough points while grinding, get enough points while being in the air, get enough that, get enough this. Very rarely you do get a mission that isn't recycled in basically every level, like this one where I gotta push barrels into the pool to get rid of them, which makes no sense. How is this me clearing the sewer? Isn't it just me making it even worse? Pouring the barrels of radioactive waste into the pool to spread radiation? One of my highlights was Tony Says, where you just gotta do the tricks that Tony tells you, but only if they get told with the Tony Says message, not when it only says do. Simple but somehow fun. Maybe it's because I like Simon Says. And then some missions are like that game mode from Proving Ground that I quite liked, where depending on the color of the marker, you gotta do the trick that fits the color, like yellow is grinding, air tricks are wet, etc. It's basically just the game showing you a nice combo whale message kinda, but it feels really satisfying. Sometimes I just like getting told what to do. I'm like a kitty or a doggo. I didn't want to say dog, I wanted to say doggy, but I'm too lazy to re-record this right now. Just wanting to follow orders without having to think for myself, because then I don't have to do hard decisions. But sadly, life is full of them, and it's hard to find a partner that will make all of those decisions for me, but I won't give up on my quest to find a person that basically writes the script for my life so I can just follow it. The missions where you shoot fireworks to destroy targets is also pretty fun. And then there's also missions where you gotta do tricks or else your head keeps swelling and explodes. That's pretty damn brutal. These also evoke that nostalgic feeling because Pro Skater 3 had that big head mode or the mode where you could turn yourself smaller. And back in the day tons of games had these silly little unlockable features that I miss from modern games. But some of these missions also just made me kinda sad. Look at this pool mission, where you gotta get the balls, haha, balls, out of the pool, and I just sat there and thought, why? Someone had to sit down at his desk and program this mission into the game that feels like missing the ice cream truck as a kid and makes you question life. Who is this for? Is there a single person in the world who thought, wow, yeah, this mission is so much fun? I sound like a depressed old boomer saying this, but something about this mission just struck a chord with me about how sometimes even developers have to do things that they themselves probably do not enjoy. Maybe I'm also just assuming too much. The levels are as uninteresting and bland as humanly possible at times. The first level is a boring skate park that makes you feel like it's not possible to make an even more uninteresting skate park even if you tried your hardest. And then I found out it's actually modeled after a real skate park. Even the local tiny skate park in my town looks more fun than this. Then the beach level feels too big while also feeling too empty at the same time. School 3 is a rehashed School 2 but smaller. How do you take a level from an earlier game and somehow make it worse and smaller instead of building on the foundation of it to make it better? Then the Mega Park, which is not mega at all despite the name, but for some reason it has a power up that makes you go mega, and it changes nothing, you are just bigger. After that you get to do tricks on a bunch of rooftops, and this level has the gimmick of giving you a double jump, which is actually quite neat. But the level is just a bunch of random roofs placed together with some stuff on there for you to grind on and jump around, and it doesn't really feel cohesive at all. Thanks to the double jump, it's one of the more fun levels though. Before we get to maybe one of the worst levels in any Tony Hawk game ever maybe, we get a hangar map. It's basically just the hangar from the first game mixed with the hangar from Underground 2 I think. Also one of the better ones because it just gives you this nostalgic good feel again, and it's a bit tiny just like myself, but it's fun. But now we get to the last and worst level, the bunker. It takes place on a space station and gives you moon gravity where if you jump high. And it just sucks. It makes the sloppy gameplay feel even sloppier, and the performance on this version is terrible, straight up unacceptable and unplayable at times. The whole presentation in general is just also kinda weird. It has that mix between a cartoonish look and realistic look, and it just makes you think that the game has an identity crisis, not knowing what it really wanted to be, stuck between the past and modern. I hope I won't have my midlife crisis soon too, so I hope that won't happen. And again, it runs like absolute dog water, but what can I expect from playing a PlayStation 3 version of a game that released in 2015? Seeing a bit of gameplay of the PlayStation 4 version, it looked to run fairly decently. Just like the soundtrack, it's just okay. Like most Tony Hawk games, it has a mix between rock, pop punk and rap. But the selection here is just so underwhelming. It's not exactly trash, but it feels like it plays the same 5 songs, and especially Skrillex songs comes up so often. Also the game is plastered with its advertisements for Monster. There's tons of half pipes that just got the Monster logo on them and make me want to get one so I can drink 20 cans a day to get kidney stones. Always wanted to know how those feel like, as the little masochist that I am. And I would rather have those than playing the game again, because this level just kinda broke me. All in all, it's just a game that makes you think, Did this one really need to exist? It does nothing new, and everything new is just half-baked, just like the whole game itself. But after checking the Wikipedia page, I learned they had to rush this game in just a couple of months because Activision was running out of the licensing deal between them and Tony Hawk and wanted to have one more game before that happens. After reading that, it actually kinda made me impressed that they made this in just a few months. If Activision allowed them at least 2 years or something, they could have turned this into an okay game. One that makes you think, not as great as the old games, but still something that can stand on its own. But sadly, since they didn't get that time, it's just a quick cash grab that does nothing to stand on its own and just tries to make people buy it for its name. Skating games nowadays are a bit dead, sadly, which makes me sad. The indie skate games are kinda middling, and the Tony Hawk's franchise seems to be dead again, despite the great remake of 1 and 2. Let's all hope that EA won't frick up the reboot of Skate, and I'm fairly optimistic for it, but you know how that goes. Optimistic with EA games is always something that won't go too well maybe. If you enjoyed the video though, you can leave a like or also a subscription and see my review of the Skate reboot eventually, since you won't miss it if you subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I won't forget about it, or else you can sue me for all the money I have, which is not a lot though. Have yourself a good one and enjoy the beautiful day that you will have today. Or night if you're watching this later in the day or evening. You know, have yourself a good one, regardless of the time zone.